Hey everyone. Well, let's get started. A lot of people came in. Our moderator will also be joining soon. Some technical issues, which is not uncommon, of course. So, well, I'll start with myself first. My name is Ricardo Da Ros. I'm the CEO of Patex. For those of you who don't know Patex yet, Patex is a huge ecosystem in Latin America. We have a crypto exchange, a centralized exchange, catering to the Latin American community and also open to the whole world. But our team is focused in Latin America. We understand the regional market very well, and we offer many features and services within the exchange that are great for the community in Latin America. Also, in the ecosystem, we have the Patex Campus, which is an educational platform that provides courses in Portuguese, English, and Spanish to anyone who wants to learn the basics or more advanced stuff as well. And we have career guidance, which helps people get jobs into crypto. So the campus is a really powerful tool, especially for developing markets, of course. And the third pillar of our ecosystem is a layer 2 blockchain, which is a fork of Optimism. And so it's super fast, cheap, and we're inviting all developers, entrepreneurs of Latin America to be able to innovate and launch projects, and we provide all the support for them. So this is just a basic intro about Patex. So I'll just pass on to the other guests to introduce themselves, because the subject here is RWAs, the revolution in the world of finance. So this is a great topic. It is a market that is, growing a lot already, but it will become much bigger in the next few years. It's exciting to be involved in this, and so I'll pass on to the other guests to introduce themselves. Well, we can start with Eitan. Do a mic check, and please welcome to this panel. It's going to be a great discussion.
Thank you. I hope you all can hear me. So I'm Eitan Katz, CEO and co-founder of Kima. And thank you everyone for joining us today, and it's a pleasure and honor to be here. So a quick introduction. Kima is a proof of stake network, an independent network that was created to enable and facilitate cross-ecosystem transactions. That means that we enable and facilitate the transfer of data and value across any type of ecosystem. We're completely agnostic to the asset class, which means that we can also handle hybrid transactions that include fiat, and to transfer messages between Web3 and Web2 ecosystems where the settlement is on chain. So we're unique in that. We have a patent pending technology for doing that, and I can elaborate more, but basically the use cases that we're enabling include, among other things, use cases of asset agnostic payment rails and DVP, deliver versus payment, which is very relevant to the real world asset space.
Awesome. Thanks, Eitan. Yes, well, definitely Kima is a great solution, and for those of you who don't know, I recommend you check it out. I will pass on now to Raj to make his intro as well, because of course it's very important to understand each one of the speakers, where they come from, what they're working on, and then we will get started on the discussions.
Thank you, Ricardo. Hope you can hear me, everybody. Thank you very much for every one of you for your time to be here. So this is Raj Bagadi. I'm the founder and the CEO at eMoney Network. We are a MiCA compliant network which facilitate compliant infrastructure, which creates a space for people to create any kind of real world action, let it be tokenization of the real world assets or tokenization of the bank deposits. We are a public permission chain, very much like JP Morgan Onyx or Ripple, if you make it to public, like a Binance Smart Chain or like an Ethereum. It's a fully proof of stake network built on EOMOS, where we have our own wallet system and everything, which will support any EVM, Cosmos, Polkadot, Substrate, and Solana, where any user can go through the wallet system, can pass the four proofs, which are proof of identity, proof of compliance, proof of ownership, and proof of custody, and can get a wallet on eMoney Network, where we issue IBANs as the wallet address for people to facilitate whatever the actions they're needed for. So we are an infrastructure which is a fully compliant infrastructure, which allows to people to do any kind of activities, compliant activities in Web3. That's briefly about us here.
Awesome, thanks, Raj. Great. Now let's move on to Jay. Please, Jay, make your intro and let everyone know what you guys are working on.
Sure. I hope everyone can hear me, right? And thank you so much for inviting me here. It is an honor to be here tonight. And my name is Jay, and I'm RWA product owner at Neopin. So Neopin is a one-stop, non-custodial permission DeFi protocol within the regulatory frameworks, while leveraging both advantage of traditional finance and DeFi. So our team consists of experts from both Web2 and Web3 space, including Binance, Crypto.com, Newiz, Samsung, and GameOn, and more. And we started since 2018. We started our Web3 business as node validators in more than 20 different networks with almost 0% slashing rates. And we expanded to the permission DeFi and wallet business in January of 2022. And so now Neopin offers various DeFi products such as stake, SDFi, swap, yield farming, bridge, and now we have been expanding to RWA and then other multiple yield farming derivatives products. And we support 7 different mainnets, including Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum, Cosmos, and Tron, and more. And so we have also been selected to join Abu Dhabi Investment Office's innovation program and moved our global headquarters to Abu Dhabi last year. And now we are expanding to not just from Asia to the MENA and Latin, and then the global markets by working together with Abu Dhabi government to develop the DeFi regulatory frameworks as a permission DeFi. And this year, our focus will be RWA, and so that we can provide our users various options to manage their assets.
Cool, thanks, Jay. Awesome. So as everyone can see, we have a panel here full of experts with different angles to the RWA subject. So let's start the discussion. Just with the basics. What is RWA, and from the perspective of what each one of you is working on, please tell why is it relevant? How can you link the RWAs to the market? Any volunteers, or I'll just pick someone. Well, Jay was the last one to speak, so please, you can start, Jay.
Sure. So yeah, the question was what is RWA and how we could link RWA to the market, right? And that's a good question because RWA, I believe, is a very hot keyword in the market currently. But maybe I believe most of us here maybe know about it. But I will. It's just short term of real world asset, but normally it is a norm for the tokenized um, real world assets in the using the blockchain technology in the Web3 space. Please correct me if I'm wrong in any time. And how Neopin is doing with RWA to the market, how we are bringing the real world assets and how to the Web3 market and how we connect them. It could be two different methods that I could briefly explain. First, how we do is we are working with various real world asset operators in the world to provide the tokenized real world asset products to users by becoming a blockchain oracle layer in the middle. So Neopin has we have our technical experts in our team, and that we have been providing our services for 3 years, and we, including node validating, is more than now 7 years, and we have been very securely operating our services to our user. So with this technology, we have enough the capability to provide to make the real world asset uh, to tokenize them, and then we are securely and transparently and efficiently helping our users to own, transfer, and trade the tokens. The products are not yet on the platform yet, but we are working on this year. We are working on to develop them, and the second way that how RWA could bring in how they could be brought to the Web3 space is how we have been, as you know, a lot of there are already a lot of great tokens in the market that are backed by the various real world asset protocols, such as On the Finance or um, the SDAI from the MakerDAO, or other like some like Rear T, like they are backed by the real estates. And like the another way that is the Neopin, how we bring them, how we amplify the impact of the RWA in the market is we connect them, and we efficiently find the way to connect them so that we reduce the user hurdles for them to participate and for them to trade and own the RWA assets, RWA tokens in the market, so that they could easily invest their assets in the Neopin. And yeah, I hope that answered. This was yeah, that I just first question, so maybe I had a little bit of the I was not ready a little bit, but please let me know if yeah if you have anything to
No,
add.
that was great. That was great. Thanks, Jay. Yeah, it was great. And definitely there are a lot of ways to be connected to RWAs in terms of business, in terms of technology, and so on. So it's great to hear what you guys working on. And so I'll pass to Raj now. I know Raj has a lot to say on this topic. So basically, of course, you don't need to define RWAs, but what do they mean for you guys in specific, and how are you working on bringing this into the market? Because of course there's a lot of interest. So yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. I mean, before we mention about, there's one thing we all need to understand, which you asked the first question, which is very, very important, is why RWA needed for DeFi or Web3? Why all of a sudden BlackRock is putting money in Web3 with respect to RWA? If you look at for the last 10 years in Web3 industry, we're trying to bring the TVL up, like 1 trillion, 1.5 trillion, going back and forth, but how the TVL goes up. In DeFi, if you look into the DeFi right now, if, for example, let's take a simple example. I want to take I want to borrow USDT, for example. And what's the collateral asset I will use in DeFi if I want to put against to borrow a USDT? I mean, in the industry right now, the collateral highest used is ETH, followed by BTC. And I can borrow USDT. What's happening here is we are using an asset which is in crypto and borrowing another asset in crypto. The liquidity is actually flowing within the Web3. How does the TVL goes up? It doesn't go magically up. The money have to flow in from outside to inside. How does it flow in? Let's bring Web2 things into Web3. That's why we need tokenization of the RWA, where there are trillions of dollars being out in the market, which can be tokenized, which will flow into Web3, which will increase the TVL. And we need this to happen. That's how we can take the TVL in the entire Web3 up. More liquidity, more use case, more users, more value, more money indirectly. But to make it happen, it's not that easy. Let's example, I want to go and buy a Tesla share in the market. I don't go to New York Stock Exchange to buy it. I go to a broker platform. Let it be eToro, let it be somebody. And they won't just give me randomly like I say, a drink or a burger in a shop. You need to go through a proper onboarding process, proper KYC. They check everything. In some countries, they need to have you a proper demat accounts or proper accounts to go and buy the shares or invest in them, stocks or whatever it is. So in Web3, you can't just randomly mint an ERC3643 and then call it as a tokenized Tesla share, because God knows where is the custody of it. So we believe there is only way you can bring liquidity from Web2 or tokenization of the RWA is do exactly in Web3 just like how we are doing in Web2. So we created an entire infrastructure / ecosystem, which is fully compliant, just like how we are running in Web2. Fully regulated, fully compliant. It asks all the questions, just like how high street banks ask, how a broker platform asks you. And then now we are also preparing over 250 RWA contracts like eTesla, eApple. A product wants to do RWA platform, whatever it is, they can just simply use those smart contracts, eTesla, eApple, eGold in the app directly. If a user is buying it, our smart contract will automatically buy through the same broker platform, which we have licenses to buy it off. So the private key of the wallet owns the ownership of the share as well. That's the proof of custody we created. So we literally created proof of identity, proof of compliance, proof of ownership, and proof of custody. As a result, people in Web3 can do exactly like how they are doing it in Web2 and can buy shares or buy commodities, buy it, let it be called as REITs. There are so many things can be done which are not been possible. So we created an infrastructure which makes the transition of money can move slowly between Web2 and Web3. And of course, it's vice versa as well.
Awesome. And you touched on a point that I will bring up in the next question, which is one of the key questions that people, when they hear about RWAs, they ask about. But I'll save it for the question. Eitan, please, your take on RWAs and the importance, and how does that connect with what you guys are working on? You are on mute if you're speaking.
Sorry, was the question to me? I lost you for a few seconds, so maybe if you can repeat the last sentence.
Sure. No problem. Yeah, this is the same question that they were answering. Basically, it's it's just about RWAs, the concept, and how does that connect with your, what you're working on.
Sure. So I want to highlight a couple of points related to real world assets, and those are aspects that. Going back to the question, why do we need the real world assets, and who needs them at all? So there are two aspects that real world assets, I think, shine, and this is why they're getting so much attention from BlackRock and and JP Morgan and the big financial institutions. So one aspect is the liquidity. So it's about tokenizing fractions of assets that may be expensive. For instance, real estate. So you can now, instead of doing a transaction for, let's say, you want to buy or sell some real estate, a building in Manhattan. So instead of doing it as one large transaction, which has a very limited potential buyers, if you tokenize that building and you provide fractional ownership shares in that building, so this now makes the building more liquid. People can purchase those fractions and then create a secondary market for them. So that process creates additional liquidity to non-liquid assets, and we have quite a few of those. Real estate is just one example, but there are so many other examples, and we're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars that can be potentially tokenized and reach that higher liquidity. The other aspect that makes tokenization interesting is the efficiency. So we know, I guess everyone here on this call are crypto savvy people. We know what is finality. We know that basically a transaction on a blockchain is instant. Yes, it might need to wait 6 blocks for Bitcoin, and that might take an hour, but those are just security precautions to avoid some forking issues, and that's how the system works. And with other chains and the layer 2s, we see literally instant settlement of a transaction. Now, that concept is almost a science fiction for financial institutions. We're talking there about T+4. That means that 4 business days after the transaction was initiated, it gets settled and cleared. And the reason is that what happens in these 4 days, everyone has IT, right? Everyone has computers and everything goes in the speed of light. So why do we need 4 business days? The reason is that we're talking about intermediaries along the way to settle the transaction, and these processes are settled once a day. So T+4, that means that we have at least 3 intermediaries in between, and that process goes from 1 to the 2nd to the 3rd and to the 4th. So that's a huge efficiency that can be added to the system if instead of T+4, we will have instant T+0. So now buying a Tesla stock, which is the common example, or doing a more complex financial transaction like repos, or even a real estate transaction, and there are so many other examples, these transactions can be settled instantaneously. Now, think of a system that is used to 4 business days, and now it's T+0. That's an amazing, a huge efficiency addition to the system, which can now handle so many more transactions, which creates additional efficiency and increases the liquidity and the volumes. So this is why BlackRock is interested. This is why JP Morgan and Citi and all the big banks are interested. And this is why everyone understands that it makes no sense to run something 4 business days where you can do it immediately. So this piques the interest of everyone. And this is the perspective that we're trying to serve, and making these connections. So it's not only about clearing or settling a transaction, it's also making it work between those disparate ecosystems, because banks are not connected. Assets are being issued on various chains. Some of them are public, some of them are private, and we're trying to connect everything in a seamless manner through the Kima blockchain.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, and based on the answers that you guys gave, that naturally links to a follow-up question, because of course we have seen all the benefits. Like we can have fractional assets instead of the whole thing. We have a lot of liquidity, efficiency, speed, access to a broader market, and so there are many benefits. The technology really is great, and that's why it's so powerful. But people usually have questions about, okay, so where is the connection with the real world, in RWAs? Like, for example, in the building example, have like $100 million building, so you can issue fractions of that and as tokens, and then people can invest or buy that. So who's the owner of the building? That would be a natural question someone might ask. Another question, I'll just throw in two examples of questions that people might ask, and then you guys can talk a little bit about that and how people can understand the connection to the real world. So the first one is, who's the owner of the actual assets? The second one is, how can people be sure they actually own that fractional asset? Can somebody just say that, okay, so you have the token, but that doesn't mean anything to us. You're not the owner of anything. So how is it enforced? How does that work? Behind the scenes, and what's being developed in that front. So yeah, who's the owner of the whole building, and how can people be sure that they actually own that? That someone can just disappear and the token will be worthless. Those are two example questions, but the main theme is, what's the connection with the real world? How do we do that? Let's start with Eitan now. Let's go the reverse order.
Yeah, so those are great questions, and I think there's the simple answer is that the real world assets have obviously real world presence. Now they're present in the real world, and this is therefore there is an immediate connection to real world regulations and processes. So the ownership part is crypto or blockchains. We did not invent the fractional ownership. If you buy a share, that entitles you to some level of ownership depending on the class of the share and so on. But the basic notion of a share is that you have a fractional ownership in a company, or better said, it's not the company, it's the future revenue and dividends and whatever the way the company is being governed. But so the simple answer to the question of who's the owner, there has to be some legal structure that maintains the ownership, and that legal structure, based on the local regulations, fractionalize the ownership by issuing those shares. Now, those shares have a digital representation in the form of a token. So we're connecting here something that the traditional, the legacy structures of ownership to the digital world through digital assets, tokens, with everything that we know, with wallets and self-custodian wallets and ownership. So basically, the ownership of a token entitles you, and there must be some kind of legal contract. It's not just smart contracts; those are traditional contracts. So by owning a token, you have an entitlement to participate in the governance. That means dividends. That means, and also the ability to transfer the ownership digitally to someone else. So that's the part where we must make sure that we do not just deal with the tokens. There must be also a legal structure or connection to the traditional world.
Awesome, Eitan. Thanks. Yes, and that's a great point because a lot of people that don't understand Web3 or RWAs very well, they might think that we are here just reinventing the wheel and creating something totally disconnected from reality. And the whole point is no, this is just technology being applied on top of an existing framework of, that people are used to in the legacy world. So that's a great point. So Raj, please, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Ricardo, over there. You literally talked about the two biggest problems why RW has not been possible so far, which is proof of ownership and the proof of custody, which I mentioned in the previous one as well. Well, number one, when we call our real world assets are many, of course. The main portion of it are we can see are the real estates, and I agree with Eitan as well. Is that there is a proper legal framework should be there. Now, I will give a good example. Let's take Burj Khalifa. I got a fantastic apartment on 120th floor. I want to rent it out or fractionalize it. I want to do it. There is only one way to be done. We call it as a proof of ownership system, which I mentioned in the previous one, which is like you go through a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust, which will take care of the property properly, and then that will be fractionalized into several token. I mean, a token or into different parts of the token, whatever it is, and then now you put it on the market where you can sell it. So every person buying the token, you can't just buy the token. You can't make it. Now, here is the come what Aiton mentioned is the legal ownership. Now, we can do real world legal stuffs and everything, which is fantastic. But when I make the fractionalization of the property into tokens, I put in a DEX or a centralized exchange, wherever it is. Now, who will buy it? It's not that easy to do. The point here is who is buying the token is very important because I have to assign that particular fraction to that user. So this is why I said we need to do the things in Web3 like exactly how we are doing in Web2. That's why we need proof of identity and proof of compliance. So we need an infrastructure, which is what we have created in the network. So for example, somebody wants to sell their apartment, like I said, Burj Khalifa apartment, I want to sell it. Now I can let the users who want to buy the property through the e-money network SDK, they pass the four proofs, proof of identity, proof of compliance, and then now I know who is the owner because now I can assign that particular fraction to it because I got all the documents and everything that will be sent over to the real estate, which is REIT management system based in Dubai, which is MR or somebody. And now they can assign that to me, which is the proof of custody. Now I own that fraction 100%. I can go to Burj Khalifa or I can go to MR. I can show them and they can tell, oh, you own this token that is linking to this fraction. On our records, it says that this apartment is divided into 100 parts and you are one of the part owner. Every month you're getting whatever the rent we're coming out of that apartment is distributed to these 100 token holders. It's coming to you. So this is why a proper structure, combination of the legal and Web2. On top of that, we need to add another infrastructure, which is the fully compliant infrastructure that defines who is the owner, that defines who they're really owning the custody, which is very, very important. That's the only way. That's the only way you can tokenize RWA and bring it to the Web3.
Yeah, agreed. That's the only way. Of course, there is always another way, which is anarchy. But the only proper way is through building on top of Web2 existing legacy infrastructure because that's how the world works, right? So there's no way to disconnect and just create RWAs out of thin air. That's an important point. Jay, would you like to make a comment on that?
Yeah, first of all, Ethan and Rajit, I'm very inspired by your speech, and I agree with that. That like how the legal structure and compliance must become before the product launch, and also the how the proof of ownership is very important in the connecting the RWA and the Web3 together. But so I think this thing I have to do is like because both of the other guests they already explained very well about like how we can define who's the owner, and then how the users can be assured by using the other technologies. But maybe I can add one more thing that one thing that I've been working in Neopin, who has been very bullish on the permission DeFi for 3 years, and then one thing I realized that the how we provide is very important, but the one most thing is that we have to provide a service to users that is trustworthy and stable and secure and also transparent. And I believe the connecting the RWA asset to the Web3 is it can be done with the certain ways, such as how Raj just suggested, like proof of ownership and proof of custody. But I think the one thing that we have to go through first is we have to make sure that RWA product provider who becomes the Oracle layer, such as Neopin, and also it could be the other technology like proof of ownership. They must comply with the regulation. I believe the proof of ownership could be very decentralized, but at least there needs to be a regulation that could protect our users in case of any incident, and also proactively monitor any and then filter out any bad actors in the ecosystem in advance, so that we could benefit our wholesome users and healthy users and create a sustainable growth of the product and the markets. And I think, and then, yeah. So I believe the how the RWA can become a bridge between the Web3 and then traditional finance, as they resemble in a lot of places, but a lot of factors. And then I think those players who could be who are decentralized, but also they comply with the regulation, or the technology that are decentralized, but they also comply with the regulation, will have the advantages to lead the new paradigm of the RWA in the market. So yeah, thank you for great answers from both Eitan and the Raj. I'm very inspired from your answers.
And Jay, thanks for your answer as well. It was great. And definitely, you touched on a point that is important, because we talked about compliance, about using the base layer that the Web2 world, the traditional financial world has already, and building on top of it with new technology, with more efficiency, and so on. But one important point is also regulation, right? Because compliance means following regulation. But we're talking about a worldwide market now, and this is a key difference between what RWAs can do and the traditional markets can do, because the markets usually are they are international, of course, but they follow the regulations of the jurisdiction they're in. RWAs, they open up the whole world. Like. Someone in Brazil, that's where I'm based, can buy a share of the Burj Khalifa apartment as an RWA, or someone in India, or someone in Mexico. So this, brings some challenges, of course, but also is a huge potential, because a lot of different regions are untapped territory. Latin America is a great example. RWAs can open up a lot of opportunities for Latin American people to be able to invest in assets worldwide, and also a great potential for issuers that can offer their RWAs to Latin America, for example. So I would like to hear from you guys this broad view about the global market. And of course, regulation is one of the topics that I would like you guys to touch on, because each country has its own regulation, right? So it is a challenge, of course, to comply with regulations in different jurisdictions. So your thoughts on that? And also in terms of the market itself, potential of regions, and the Latin American specific. Patex is about to launch a RWA marketplace for Latin America. So we are very much involved in this thought process. So I'd like to hear from you guys. Well, let's start with Raj now. Raj has not started any of the answers. So please, Raj, your thoughts on this global market, the challenges of different regulations in different countries, how to approach that, and also the potential in terms of the market size, and briefly touch on Latin America if you have any thoughts on that as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, regulations are, which is actually a good point, is that every country has its own base regulations. Yeah, being myself an AML specialist in UK, one thing we see common, we go to any country in the world, especially Africa or Latin America, even in Asia or in Europe, the base foundation is the same. If you split we're talking about compliance here, specifically compliance here. If you split the compliance into several parts, the main part of the compliance is always AML. Now, whether the user KYC is done, question number one, it's common in every country. Whether the user proof of address is there, whether the source of funds are checked or source of wealth is checked, all these things. Plus, on top of that, there will be some extra requirements, like for some in countries, they might ask, oh, the buyer have to be a local resident only. The buyer can't be a foreign resident. I'm just taking, for example, but it's randomly happens. But in most of the Western or other countries, anybody can buy, anybody can own it. So we can, there can be a golden standard policy which will apply to any country in the world. I'm not talking about the OFAC sanctions or any other countries here, but usually that is constant and common for any country in the world. We can pick up Latam, we can pick up Brazil, or we can pick up South Africa or Singapore. The basic AML compliance is common. And on top of that, so we can split it into several layers. There can be a golden standard policy which can apply to any country in the world. So now you got a basic set of users where they all pass the golden standard policy, and now they can say they can buy RWAs of, oh, you passed the basic golden compliance or basic policy, whatever it is, you can buy RWA assets from 60 countries out of 180. Or if you want to access certain extra countries, you need to pass this extra layer. That's actually not new. It's been there already in all the places. Let's take our exchanges. We let people to come in first, and then we do the KYC later, KYC level 1, level 2, level 3. So by creating modules in the compliance, we can invite people from different parts of the world and can access different services, and then slowly they can access the tougher jurisdictions where they need to get, or they want to access to the RWA. Even Jay also mentioned very good point as well in the previously regarding how people can access with respect to, I mean, not only about proof of ownership, but there are different legal aspects they can do. So for example, local regions have a different way of legal can be done, can be created a different legal framework out of it, and people wants to buy those RWA from those jurisdictions, they can go separately from that added security if it is needed. So I believe by creating a global standard and by building it in a modular blocks method, we can definitely offer RWA. Again, I'm not talking about just one, but again, buying shares is a very different thing. They're also kind of an RWA, but they're different commodities. For example, we're talking about gold or silver. Anybody can buy. For example, even for there are grains, food, tea. There's a lot more things can be tokenized as well. They don't have many restrictions who can buy, who can't buy, so they can be easily tradable. Of course, it's real estate is something very, very touchy and very difficult, but we can, by dividing it in a modular basis, we can easily get that into market as well. That's what I believe. Yeah.
Awesome, Haraj. I was having trouble hitting the button here. Sorry, but yeah, awesome, and definitely that's the way. A modular approach is necessary, and of course, RWA is just a broad category, and as you said, within RWA, we can, depending on what we are tokenizing, this could have some implications as well. Some things might be more easily tradable, some other things might be more restricted. So it's modular in terms of jurisdictions, and it's modular in terms of type of assets, basically. So, very, very good answer. Eitan, let's go to you on that. Feel free to explore.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I think we need to make a distinction between the primary and the secondary issuance. So the primary issuance, this is where we're actually issuing the digital representation of real world asset. And we discussed this in the previous question. Here we have the traditional, the legacy processes. So if it's a Tesla stock, if we're tokenizing a Tesla stock, someone has to hold the Tesla stock, the real world asset Tesla stock, and that is done by a broker dealer. So these processes will continue to be to comply and be part of the traditional processes. So the primary issuance probably will always be part of local jurisdictions regulations. And who has the entitlement to purchase this in the primary issuance? Again, that will be part of the existing regulations. Now, the opportunity with liquidity and all these good things that we discussed earlier, that would happen later in the secondary market. So now it's very easy, fast, and cheap to transfer ownership, to sell a tokenized asset. And these things can, drive, can go fast from one corner of the planet to the other. And this is where we see the advantages of crypto, of digital assets, of instant settlements on blockchains. So that really opens the everything to global audiences within certain limitations, obviously. But now I was in Paris this week for Paris Blockchain Week. I met several real-world asset projects, and it was very interesting to see the local flavor of these projects. I saw a project in Albania that is tokenizing real estate. And that's what they do. They issuing those tokens in Albania. And basically now anyone can buy his share in some kind of a luxurious house or a compound of buildings in Albania, and with just a click of a button. So this distribution potential this is a huge potential, and here we can think of it as as the Binance or Kraken or these exchanges or any big exchange that has global reach, and now we can distribute these tokens everywhere. Now, the aspect of distribution obviously is also correlated with adoption of this asset class, and I agree with everything that was said here earlier. We see a lot of adoption in places like South America, in Africa, and places where people have phones, they have internet access, and basically that's what they need to be their own banks. So if with a phone and internet access and an application, you can now own a share in real estate in France or in Albania or anywhere else, and vice versa. You can also tokenize businesses and commodities and real estate in areas that until now were blocked from this global economy. So this is the beauty of everything. By connecting all these dots, we're creating a new economy in a global scale, and with this premise of including the inclusion of people that until now were completely out of this game.
Great points, Eitan. Awesome. Yes, and mainly the differentiation between the primary issuance and the secondary issuance, that's key as well, because then uh, maybe we should even coin a new term if it doesn't exist. Like, because the primary issuance is the actual real world asset, and then you have a derivative of that which can be more freely distributed in the secondary market. So like a two-step process that makes it easier in terms of regulation and everything. May make it easier, but yeah, it makes it available at least globally and very easy. While the primary issuance is really controlled and it's following all the regulations and rules of the jurisdiction it's been issued in. So that's great point. Jay, please, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. Like as Ethan said, the primary issues are those primary issues are very I guess they have to comply the regulations in the local market where they are local jurisdiction where they are belonged at the moment. So as Neopin as a permission DeFi, we are also working very closely with Abu Dhabi government to develop the DeFi regulation together at the moment before prior to Neopin's offering the RWA product as a primary issuer. But as Ethan said, the secondary market is generally a little flexible, I would say. But still, I've been having research. I've been researching various providers in the both primary or secondary. They still go through the KYC and AML screening for the users to use. And as Neopin do, as and we do the same for our users. We because one thing as Raj mentioned, I think the most important thing, um, the uh, the one common thing in the global regulations at the moment is we need to know who the customer is first, and the second we need to make sure the customer is the safe and then wholesome, healthy player, and that's how we could make the whole how we could keep the whole ecosystem healthier and sustainable. And that's I think that could be a one modular thing that we, as Raj said, to approach. And um, as we have been doing that, but we we believe that the global regulations will advance more as there are more RWA products that are issued in the market in the Web3, and because as I said earlier, the I think it resembles very closely with the traditional finance, and it has a lot of aspects from there. So I hope and I wish that the RWA paradigm could also boost and catalyze the advance, the enhance of the crypto regulations in general as well. And to speak more about the global market opportunities of the RWA and then the how the regulation thing going on. And I would say the RWA market has been growing very rapidly. And to talk about some of the numbers, one of the research from the Corbett, they showed that in 2023, it grew from 700 million to 5 billion only in 2023. And then the Boston Consulting Group, they had a projected the market growth to 16 trillion by 2030. So as everyone know, the RWA market has a huge potential to grow, but as we discussed, the regulation is very important, and the way that how we shoot and how we focus as a RWA product provider is to proactively screen and make sure who our users are and make sure that they are safe. And as a permission DeFi, we have been doing that for 3 years, and then we are aiming to do so more so that we could provide a good better RWA products to our users.
Awesome, great. Yes, this topic, of RWAs it's so exciting, and there's so much to talk about. And time flies. I'll have to make one last point, one last question to you guys, and then we'll wrap up. We're up on the 1 hour mark here. So. Uh, the last point, you can also add your final thoughts. But the last point I would like to mention is, well, Patex is developing the RWA market in Latin America, create a marketplace, and we're working with all of you guys. The whole market has to work together. So this exciting opportunity to really take a huge market such as Latin America that is very active in Web3 and crypto, but it doesn't have access to a lot of opportunities outside of Latin America, or even outside of their, each one's own country. So I would like to ask you to, talk a little bit about how do you see Latin America as in the next few years as a powerhouse for RWAs, and especially, of course, with this with us working together and making this happen in the best possible way. Because here we have the best specialists in the world talking about RWAs. So to make something big, it has to be done with the best of the best, right? So let's start with Jay, and then we move to the others.
Sure. So, yeah, as the Neopin has moved to Abu Dhabi, we moved our headquarter here, and then we for the global adoption, and as geographically getting close to the major crypto hub like MENA and the Latin region, we are also focusing on the Latin America region, starting from the partnership with Patex, and so we've been researching about this market, and then it was very dazzling to see how they are very active with the crypto, and is the chain analysis reported that the Brazil and Argentina they scored to be in the top 20 in the global crypto adopted country. So it means that a lot of people in I think more than half of the population has been exposed to the crypto at least once or something like that. And also Venezuela, they have been, despite their the fiat currency devaluation and deflation ratio, they have a very fast growing crypto market in US dollar terms. So they have been. So it's according to the chain analysis reports, and in by year their crypto receiving amount has increased like 32% per year, and that's this amazing statistics that we can see. So Latin America has been, as Ricard say, it is like a power hub of the crypto in the next market, the next per cycle. That's what I see. And also the how they then the opportunity of the Latin America is one thing, as Ethan also mentioned earlier, that it's like the infrastructure compared to other MENA or US market. The infrastructure of the traditional finance is lacking like relatively. So there are like lots of crypto users who like to manage their assets, and also there will be other users that no more population who would like to invest or manage their assets in their real life, but then the RWA could be the one way to provide them a efficient and also fractionized, efficient way to invest their assets, as is a fractionized shares or as or like other ways of the providing the to invest in the RWA products. So I think that the RWA will open up the another opportunity for the Latin America the population to manage their assets, and with their 650 plus million population, and the I think the RWA market would the will grow the most. So I think that Latin America will lead the RWA market in this next bull cycle. That's what I see, and also I also see some things in the Asia as well. But I think the Latin America is definitely one of the power hub that will lead the RWA era in next bull cycle.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Jay. Well, let's move to Eitan. Your thoughts on that?
Yes. So I think that one of the major challenges of this market is in distribution and the demand side. So we see we were reading all these research and numbers being thrown in the air by the financial institutions and talking about trillions, tens or hundreds of trillions of dollars waiting to be tokenized. So that's the supply side. And I think we discussed the advantages of why it is good, why it's coming, why it's inevitable. But then there is the demand side and distribution. I think this is one of the major things that still hinder the flywheel of this space, and this is something that I think Latin America is a regional on a regional basis is we will see a lot of interest and adoption. So I think that this space is asking or needs those regional hooks that demand will come from, and I think given the size of this market, the level of education and the appetite, this is an amazing opportunity. The other thing is, as Jay mentioned earlier, is the macroeconomic situation. Places like Venezuela and other places drive people to adopt crypto assets, to adopt stable coins. So that means that they're adopting the underlying technology that enables also real world assets. So if you have a wallet, any type of wallet that can hold digital assets, whether it's MetaMask or something that is abstracted, then you have everything you need, right? So if you're already holding stable coins, if you're holding virtual crypto assets, then you're just it's a decision and one click away from investing in real world assets and becoming part of this space. So the more adoption we see and the adoption rates that we see in Latin America are definitely interesting. I think we get closer to adoption of real world assets. So there's a clear correlation in my mind between the adoption that we see to crypto and digital assets in Latin America and the opportunity that is in this region. And so necessity is basically what will bring people to this space.
Awesome, Ethan. Yeah, thanks for your answer. This is what we believe as well. Yeah, and necessity is the driver for everything, and also there is a lot of blocked demand. You know, like a lot of people in Latin America, they would like to have access to more opportunities, more investment vehicles, but access is a problem. So RWAs definitely will attract a lot of attention in Latin America. They are already attracting, but this will only increase. Raj, please your comments on that. Yeah, I'm excited about the Latin American market. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely emerging. It's, I have to say, one of the highest emerging jurisdictions. if you see the overall ecosystem here, we are trying to grow together in the entire Web3 industry, and to grow, we need, I see there are three major aspects we need to always concentrate. Number one is jurisdiction, because that's the target market. And number two, of course, the technology with the liquidity is very, very important. Yeah. And number three, of course, the use cases. These three are very important. So you have a person or a customer who gonna make use of the technology which needs the liquidity, and of course what are the use cases they're going to be using it. And if you look at the first part, the jurisdiction, South America, I mean the Latin area, it used to be less than Europe, which is around 30 million users, used to be around 2023. Now I have to say South America completely crossed over European total number of crypto use in Europe. Now actually they crossed over the Europe. That means that itself clearly says that the number of people using crypto are growing day by day, and that obviously reflects down to the use cases for the number of people who are gonna make use of the RWA. Of course, there are several problems going on. Depreciation of the local currency, as Eitan and Jay mentioned before. There are so many problems going on that obviously gives birth to other use cases like the stable coins, which obviously makes it easy for them to buy or sell off the RWAs and everything, and that gives them a direct access to the market. But to make it happen seamlessly, this is where I touch base, is that liquidity, how seamlessly the liquidity is flowing. That's something is very important. How fast it is settling, how quickly it is happening during the borders or cross borders and everything. And in fact, it's just not about people buying RWA or only users in LATAM area buying RWA. I'm talking about people outside the LATAM area buying the RWAs inside the LATAM area. And just imagine people can buy seamlessly with dollars, pounds, euros. And that's where the seamless integration of liquidity is needed as well in the background system. And third point is about the use cases. Now, I bought a fantastic house in Brazil. Now I own it. Oh, it's just sitting idle in my wallet. What it is doing? Now, as Jay pointed out, this is where I'm going to add extra point, is that just imagine, why can't I use my tokenized apartment as a collateral to get some loan? I'm going to put it in lendings and borrowings and put it as a use case to it. Now your money is at work to make more money, right? So that will create more interest in the people to invest in RWA, because that itself yields some money back to it. So all these three things are important, and we see, and as part of this process, that's where we as a e-money partnered with Patex to go into the LATAM area. And we will be working with Patex to expand the compliance and regulations, and to work with Patex. At the same time, we see Kima plays a very, very fantastic role in managing the liquidity and cross-chain, make it seamlessly faster. And we see Neopin also playing a major role using RWA in the DeFi side as well. And it's fantastic to be, speaking all three of you who are contributing a lot in different aspects, where each and every one of them plays a major role as a whole ecosystem to which closes the whole circle. So I see LATAM is a very growing area. It got huge potential. At some point of time, we see it's even crossing Africa as well at some point of time. Yeah.
Awesome, Raj. Yes, and definitely, working together to build something is the best way. We're all here, basically building up what RWAs will be for the market. And in my view, RWAs are basically a gateway for mass adoption of financial assets. And we want to bridge this world, the traditional financial markets and the Web3 crypto markets. So the idea is to make them converge, and they are naturally converging, but we can help with that. And basically, we're just building the new financial world. We're defining what it will look like in a few years. Right now, we're doing that. So this is really exciting. It's great to have experts and as you, and not just experts, but builders and people that take action. So we're going to do a lot of cool things together and help shape this market. So first, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. and for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, and your ideas. It was an awesome time. It went too fast. There's so much more to talk about. Perhaps we can make another session like this in the near future to tap into other subjects related to this. But yeah, I would like to thank the three of you for being here, and just open up a few seconds for each one of you to say your final words, and to say basically anything you want. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry. Let's start with Raj. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate as I said before, really appreciate for your your time, and yeah, RWA's got a huge potential, and I believe with the implementation of the right compliance and right regulations, users can access them very easily, which in turns bring more users into the Web3 where they can access the RWA, which in turns bring loads of liquidity back into the system, and that will increase the whole overall TVL. I think we should work towards it in a collective way, and we can reach that goal, I believe. Yeah. And so that RWA use cases will grow, obviously, and we don't have to wait for 2030 to reach the 10 trillion. We even we can make it faster.
Jay, go ahead.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time here, and also great speech from Diraj and Eitan. And there's RWA with a great potential. It's definitely a one key theme that is coming with the bull cycle. And as we mentioned earlier, the most important thing I believe with RWA product is about the protection and decentralized and also decentralization, and also the compliance with the regulation, so that the RWA product could give user a stable and secure and transparent fixed income to the users. But as just one thing to add on, the Neopin has been working very hard to supply to support a RWA products in our ecosystem, and there will be more coming soon. So stay tuned about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. Yes, and everyone should stay tuned to each one of the companies here, because that's where the future is being built. Eitan, please go ahead.
Yeah, so really to wrap it up, thank you everyone. So I'm really bullish about RWA in general. I think it's one of the use cases that we've been all looking for in the past few years, to find real use of blockchain, of crypto, and this is something that really can change people's life. So I think these four companies, Imani, Neopin, and Patex, and Kima, we're building something. We can build something together that change people's lives, and this cooperation is something that I'm so much looking for to execute on and realize. So and this conversation only reflects that. So thank you for everyone who listened, and then for the other speakers here.
Thanks, Eitan. Yes, great final remarks. Again, thanks, Raj, Eitan, and Jay. Awesome panel, awesome discussion. Let's do this again, because there's so much more to talk about. And thanks everyone that has been listening. I hope you got some value out of this. And yes, keep an eye on what we're doing individually as companies, and also together, because the market is built by strong players, and especially when they're working together on something. So thank you very much, and see you the next time. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Eitan. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
You're right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.